we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah, Jets, Jets. I mean, what's better to say, huh? The most proud chant in all of sports, at least I think. Who cares if the guy that leads it, we're tired of him, we got to push him out, and I don't know. I still love the chant, so we do it, but Gunny, we are Jets fans after all. So we're here. Yep. We have 3 weeks left in this season. How you feeling, my friend?
Well, it was a good win. I got to say I was happy about the win, you know what I'm saying, this past weekend against the Jaguars. I hate Mac Jones with a passion. Giving him an L is always going to be a joy for me. But just as a Jets fan, man, and I know there's a bunch of individuals who to start sucking, they want us to tank, but in all actuality, it gets really hard to go ahead and root for losing all the time. At the end of the day, our season's been ruined as a fan base, so why not ruin some other fan bases' seasons if we can? So for me, I enjoyed the win. Going against the Rams next, hopefully they can go ahead and do it again. Something else to celebrate. But overall, man, it's been a rough week, right? Like, you can't even enjoy a week like we just had in terms of a victory. We haven't had a victory Monday or a victory week in quite some time. And you expect this week was going to be a positive one for the Jets fans, but oh no. Oh no. Couldn't be so. So I'm sure we're going to get into it, man, but just one of those weeks where it's just like, man, it's really draining to be a fan of this organization. Yeah. Just the constant clown show is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, man. You nailed it, dude. It's like, God forbid we have, a win. It's been a long time. We get a win, and there's the most ridiculous story, honestly, that I've ever heard. This is bigger as far as, it's more ridiculous than even Robert Saleh locking everybody in the room demanding their cell phones. Yeah. Like the fact that Woody's son or grandson or whatever the hell's going on is influencing trades and based on Madden rate. It's like, what the fuck? What are we talking about anymore? And again, just leave. Can you guys just leave us alone? But they won't, because Gunny, we eat it up every single, if Rossini put out one article and we just ignored it, it would go away.
Should be done already. Should be done. Yeah. But we click open, and then we read it, and then we comment on it. We engage with
comment, even if it's to say this is baloney.
This is dumb.
We comment on it. So it's like, and then you look at, hey there, fucking pink hue, Dom C.
What's happening, boys?
Run Dom C. That's what we're calling you today. Run Dom C for his rap hip hop prowess. But yeah, to finish my thought real quick, I'd have to remember what it was. So I don't. So we'll just move on. All right, Tom, how you doing? Good, buddy?
I can't complain, guys. Can't complain. How's everyone today? Nothing happening in Jets world I hear or I see.
Except for the negative stories about,
said
17-year-old.
Yeah.
17. Oh. Well, I know. I was just kind of following up.
I was happy to see that just now or just recently, the Jets actually came out with a statement about it. I'll read it.
Yeah. Oh. All right, let's read the statement, everybody. Brace yourselves for this statement. Well, you know what, Tom? Before you do that, let me announce. Let me do this. Let me announce to everybody that we do have a sponsor for the show, and it is the Great Bet US. You see their logo on the bottom of the screen. Bet US offering GreenBean viewers a 150% bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000. When you use the promo code YouTube150. That will also get you a 125% bonus on your next two deposits. Guys, it's America's favorite sports book for a reason. GreenBean was 3 wins, 0 losses on my wagers this week. My finest week. I put $500 on the Jets to win because I wanted them to lose. So I figured that's the way to do it, is bet on them to win, and then they win. So I, hey, I'll take that too. It's called hedging.
That's called exactly what I was going to say. That's called hedging your bet.
Yeah. So if you want to get in on the fun, make something out of this season, maybe BetUS is the place to do it. Again, don't forget, use that promo code YouTube150 to get yourself that bonus of 150% on your first deposit up to $2,000. Thank you, BetUS. So, Dom, we are bracing for the New York Jets official retort.
Yes.
To this madness.
It doesn't say who has announced this. It just says from the New York Jets, and I quote, the Johnson sons have no roles in the organization, period. It's completely ridiculous to suggest any outside info is intended to replace the opinions of Woody Johnson's own staff. That is it. That's their their retort.
Read it again, because that was so
PR vagueness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
the Johnson sons have no roles in the organization, period. It's completely ridiculous to suggest that any outside info is intended to replace the opinions of Woody Johnson's staff. So what they're saying is the whole Madden stuff, you can put that aside. That's hogwash.
Are they though? Are they? They just
listen. I'm not defending. I'm going to say this. Yeah. Let me say this, Gunny, and I am not defending or standing for Woody Johnson or the clown show that this Jets team and organization is. I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. However, I will say this. Like, if you're, 18, however old these boys are. I mean, my dad owned a business.
17 and 15 years old.
Yeah, my dad owned a business. And you know what I did in the summers? I worked for my dad, right? I went in there and, he owned pizzeria. So I made dough and I fucking made sauce and, flipped pies and worked the register and so on and so forth. So having sons that work for the business or involved in the family business is not completely out of the ordinary.
No.
Completely out of the ordinary would be if the two 17 and 18-year-old kids are making business decisions that affect the Jets. Now, I can't wrap my head around that being true. I don't wrap my head on the whole Madden thing being true. I don't wrap my head on the Joe Douglas really reported to a teenager being true. Do I think that there's dysfunction? Absolutely, I do. But, so there's that. So the fact that they're involved in the family business, I don't think is crazy. I don't. I mean, call me naive.
They need to be walking around with like a mail cart. You know what I mean? That's what you do.
Yeah. So I work for a very a family business. It's a large family business. Just operates in New Jersey. We do $1.2 billion in sales every year in the products that we sell, which happens to be wine and spirits for those.
Happens to be crack.
Yeah, it happens to be crack cocaine. No, happens to be wine and spirits. It's privately owned. The owner is 70-something years old, nice guy. And his son, his youngest son is in his 30s, 35, and he's been involved in the family business since he was in college. But like you said, GreenBean, his father made him work delivering. He was a driver's helper, and then he learned how to do. He sat with me and learned my job, and then he worked in all different areas to really learn the business. Do we know that that's happening with Brick and whatever the other son's name? Probably not. I don't know. Could it be happening? Yes.
Well, look, Tigo comes in. He acknowledges and he supports what I said earlier about Dom being his new favorite rapper. And just to get it out there, Gunny and GreenBean are wrong. I like that. So Tigo coming in just to make his case. James Thompson says they're covering it up. Jimmy Jets, the newest member. Thank you, Jimmy Jets, for joining the Stream Beaners. Welcome aboard, sir. And thank you for the support. Jimmy Jets, quite the fella, hung out with us on Tuesday night as well. So we love having you around. I got to say, and Gunny, I just shoot real straight. I mean, it's like these stories are, I mean, like Dom said, there's a certain level that you're like, of course. I mean, it's like when people say, oh, nepotism. It's like, well, of course. I mean, that's the way the world runs. Like, Frank and Sons Plumbing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way there's a certain level that's acceptable and understandable and all that kind of stuff. But, having a 17-year-old, I don't know if you should make that trade. His awareness is on Madden isn't really good. Do you think, honestly, like if you weren't a Jets fan, just pull back for a second, look at it objectively. Do you think that's how the Jets are run? Like we had that comment and it wasn't Joe Douglas. It's somebody close to Joe Douglas said that. Joe Douglas said
Hogan.
That.
Rex Hogan. That's exactly what it is. He's feeding stuff. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But it's not saying Rex Hogan said, Joe Douglas said.
Yeah. Correct.
It's someone. We're making all the connections ourselves, and that's the design of comments like, "Oh, a source close to." That's what they do, and we go, "Oh, it's got to be." But the truth is we don't know who the fuck said that he said that. We have no idea who's. So it's like maybe Joe Douglas said I work for a teenager, maybe. Or maybe he didn't. Or maybe the person saying it thinks it. I mean, but like everything aside, do you think that honestly, do you think that this is really how it is in the front office of the Jets, Gunny? Or do you think that this is kind of a bunch of bullshit?
So a part of me wants to believe that logically speaking, like there's just no way, right? You don't entrust the direction of a multi-billion-dollar organization in the hands of your 17-year-old and 15-year-old son who's getting their insight from playing Madden. I want to believe that's just not the case. However, we're Jets fans. However, the organization we're speaking of is the New York Jets under the direction of a Woody Johnson. And it just seems so far-fetched that how creative do you have to be to make that up? Is my thing. Like you have to be a very creative individual because I couldn't fathom in a million years making up the story about how, hey, a multi-billion-dollar organization is being ran by, the sons of the owner who happen to be 17 and 15, even though he's 77. So that's a conversation for a whole other day. He has sons that are 17 and 15 when he's 77. They're making the decisions based off of, who the organization brings in. They're doing freaking post-game freaking speeches. They're handing out game balls. Oh, and they're getting all their insight from playing Madden. Like, it just seems so ridiculously far-fetched that, like, I couldn't imagine it to be the truth, that some semblance of it, there has to be some accuracy, because that just seems so far-fetched to just make up out of thin air. And that's where my mind is at. I'm like, sometimes when something is just so, like, out of the realm of like plausibility, that means your imagination couldn't imagine it. You couldn't create this kind of a fiction when it came to something like this. I'm like, I can see there being some semblance of truth to it, whether or not like there's some hyperbole sprinkled in. I think that's also the case. But I'm sorry to say, man, I think because it's Woody Johnson, because you also see like pictures of his son in the draft room talking to players being drafted. Him handing out a ball after a game, like you're sitting there like, well, I mean, kid seems to be doing a lot more than freaking, equipment room stuff, etc. So like, I think there's some truth to it, man, and only because of who we're talking about when it comes to this story.
Well, so Dom, Gunny says because it's so ridiculous, he's inclined to believe it. So I have a story.
Okay.
Last night, I went to sleep and I woke up this morning, my penis grew 15 inches in one night. So Gunny, sounds crazy though, Gunny, doesn't it?
But I, as a man,
that's so wrong.
I would tell that lie. I would. Any man would. They would lie about how big their guy.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. That's fair
a
enough.
lie.
Fair
That's very feasible. Like,
enough.
any one of us could think that thing up.
Yeah. So Dom, the other thing, like just to dovetail with what Gunny was saying, like the young guys, we do see them around, but there's also the report that they're in the locker room, like making fun of players and shit like that. Like, how real do you like, Dom? I know that they have like a bubble of protection, like billionaire protection bubble, owner, protection, owner's my dad, so to speak. But still, do you think that shit's going on? Like, do you think we wouldn't have heard about it in some, like, before this, if these kids are in there, like, ripping, I think the word was ripping in the article, ripping players. And maybe I have it wrong, but
I don't doubt that they're obviously in the locker room. They're obviously entwined in some of that stuff. And maybe you could question if a locker room is the right place for the son of the owner after a game, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Especially this season where we haven't had a lot of positivity after games. I don't know, man. I can't imagine that anyone would let a 17-year-old child rip a grown man for his, production at his job. So journalism is a wonky thing, man. It's, you can hear something and you can make it sound or interpret it to sound a certain way, So I don't know, man. I just don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe when it's a constant barrage of the same, the same stuff that we've been hearing since last year between Rosenblatt and Rossini, right? Dysfunction. We all know it. We all see it. We're as entwined into the dysfunction of the New York Jets as just about anyone. That's what Jets fans do, right? We live and breathe this dysfunction, unfortunately.
But looking at it, where is the dysfunction other than like losing, right? Where is the dysfunction? Like, I'm being serious. Like, the way that it's painted, and just like it was painted before the season, and we look at these articles and what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they're losing. So obviously it's not functioning in the way that you want to, as far as, a systemic, a systematic machine. But we don't see, other than like during the game, people get hot or whatever. But like, we don't see very much dysfunction where, like, you look at teams of the past, Sheldon Richardson and Brandon Marshall are fighting in the locker room. Geno Smith gets a straw. Like, there's dysfunction that's like, you can't contain it.
Well, and you see some. It's
like, so go ahead and give, like, from your perspective, what looks like dysfunction.
Well, you see a lot of the noise and the jibber jabber on social media with some of these younger players, and Sauce and Breece Hall and this and that. Like, that itself is a little bit of dysfunction that they're out there, talking and granted, they're young men. So, this is the generation that they lived in. Sheldon Richardson and those guys didn't have social media to go on there and mess around with. So there is some of that, there's definitely, I mean, listen, we signed up for part of the circus when we brought Aaron Rodgers in there. We don't have to admit that, or we can, but we signed up for part of the circus when we brought him in, right? Like, we didn't know why Hackett was brought in, even though, and now it's coming out, stuff that we knew, stuff that we felt, stuff we know that the players felt is now again coming out, that that his offense is terrible and that they weren't happy with it, but he still stuck around. You bring in all the Aaron Rodgers crony, you bring in the media circus that follows the Aaron Rodgers stuff, and then you tie it into, Woody just putting his foot down this year. Like, there's dysfunction. It's, and that's not contained in-house. That's not contained in-house.
I think Woody flying back from London, waking up to crumpets and walking into the office and saying, "You're fired," is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Telling Joe Douglas afterward, like, "Oh, by the way, hey, how you doing, Joe? Good morning. Good to see you. Oh, by the way, I fired Robert Saleh this morning."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
dysfunction.
that's a pretty strong example.
Or flying your helicopter in when practice has already started and calling the GM off the field to tell him his services are no longer needed. You know? There's not. Did you smell a tinge of dysfunction when Joe Douglas did his press conference after the trade deadline thing, and he said, "I serve at the what was this quote?
Pleasure of the
I
owner.
serve at the pleasure of the owner." Come on.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, what else did the article say that but Mike White. Did Mike White say you should throw your helmet? You fucking suck. What do you think?
That one to me seems very far-fetched that he would say it out loud. Now again, is he saying this in a corner? I think when the whole Suns are making fun of players in the locker room thing, I'm with Dom. I don't think these kids got the balls to talk to some grown freaking men and just talking shit, openly so they can hear them. I can see them in the corner of the locker room just talking amongst themselves, and it's very possible that somebody on the staff overheard it and they passed on this information. But I find it very far-fetched that they're going to be out there with just talking shit to these grown men, unless they're really that freaking, in terms of entitled. Possible, I guess. They're billionaire kids. Possible. But the Woody Johnson thing, just blatantly saying you suck, you should throw your helmet. I don't think that happened. I just don't. I feel like that would have been something that we would have heard about the moment it happened. I think Mike White would have spilled the beans somehow about that when he left the organization. He's never brought it up. It's never been said. I don't know if that was something that was said out loud, but I could see Woody and his little freaking minion sons in their corner talking about it when they saw him throw it and somebody overheard it, and they might have gone ahead and put that out there.
Or maybe it wasn't even his kids. Like, afterwards, in the decompression and all the coaches and Woody's and a lot in their office or whatnot, and they're sitting there decompressing. And, maybe he said, "Oh, it's fucking Mike White. He's, fucking terrible.
Should fucking throw your helmet."
Said
something right.
Said something not meant, just amongst whatever. And again, think of what's happening. There's somebody inside that's feeding this stuff to Rosenblatt and Rossini. So they spin it as, oh, well, he said this. Well, maybe he did say it, but it was taken out of context, for that matter. How many times, I mean, I've done it, and I'm not proud of it, but, oh, man. My wife, what a bitch. I don't really think she's a bitch. It's just in the moment.
Yeah, we've all done
shit like that.
Yep.
Dom is now in very big trouble.
Yeah, I'm now sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, heading into the holidays, that was not the timing of such a not the optimal timing.
Under your breath?
Now, I'm going to show you real quick. When you're looking for dysfunction, I think this pretty much says it all. Let me get that off.
Yeah.
I mean, do we need much more?
Nah, that's very telling.
What is wrong with
that's
this
very telling.
I'll tell you guys.
What a loser.
So we're it's funny, Jets fans, we argue and everything, and we want each we got the Ben Johnsons, we got the Vrabels, we got the the Flores group, we and some others, and then it's like, we better get a good this, we better get a good that, and then we got that guy.
Yeah.
And these articles are just not helping. I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to endure, and it's like, during a losing season not just a losing season, but a season that is so incredibly disappointing. And look, let's say hypothetically, which probably won't happen, but we win the next 3 games, so we're a 7-win team. And then you look, and then it's like winning the last 3 games would be more painful, because then you look at the Zerline games, and you're like, dude, we were a 10-win team, even with all of this.
Yep,
it just makes it that much more.
No, that will hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you. Everybody, I'm not rooting for my team to lose. I can't do it. I'm not built for it. But winning these next 3 games, knowing definitively we had 10 in the bag, if our kicker could just make 3 chip shot field goals, is going to hurt so much. It's gonna hurt so much.
And that's why I think it could happen, because it's all about maximum pain, Gunny.
Yep, 100%. And we're Jets fans, and that's all we know. Maximum pain.
Yeah, that's all we know, man. It's a rough existence being the Jets. By the way, the Broncos and Chargers are playing tonight, and we get to watch what was a slapstick organization just 5 minutes ago. You bring in a legitimate coach. You kind of commit, right? The Waltons, the owners of Walmart and the Denver Broncos said, no. We don't care what we got to give away. We're getting a legit. We're not dancing around with a rookie, this and that. See if maybe he's good. And they said, we'll give all the draft picks. We'll give all the money. That's the guy we want. He's going to come in here and he's going to change it. And 1 year later, he had 1 year to clean up Hackett's mess. And then a year later, he's sitting there with the rookie quarterback. And dude, they look like a football team. And it's frustrating, Dom. Do you agree?
Yeah, very much so. But I think if nothing else, I should say, it hammers home the reality that coaching matters, right? And it's not just Sean Payton, but it's the extension, the coaches that are the extension of Sean Payton as well. You know, the positional coaches and the coordinators and so on and so forth. Like that matters because guess what? They're doing it with $84 million worth of dead cap. $84 million worth of dead cap this year. And they're still, they're beating the Chargers right now.
They're beating the Chargers. They look like a legit operation. The quarterback looks like he's developing. Everybody looks like they're having fun, that they mean it. They're there. They
look like a football team. An NFL football team.
We can't figure it out. We just can't figure it out, Gunny. Garrett Wilson, the other rumor of the week is by the other peckerhead that lives in our fucking life, is Dick Chimney. Dick Chimney, who, I remember one time years ago, I was in Sedona, Arizona, and I was sitting in my truck because I had to drive miles away to get to a place where they had service. And I was doing one of the Jet Lounge spaces on Twitter. And Dick Chimney, I was on there and Dick Chimney comes in. So people are asking questions. And somebody said something. It was pretty good. It was done with class, which Sack always says, like, look, man, if we have a guest on, don't attack people, right? Just, be respectful, which I always appreciate. And so somebody says, hey, look, you've been around the Jets a long time. Why does it seem like you're more inclined to write about the negative stuff than anything positive? And he had a good answer. And it's funny because I haven't liked Cimini for a long time, man, since he was with Newsday, I believe it was. It was Newsday, then the Daily News, then the ESPN. And I never liked that guy. But he had a good answer, which was, hey, you don't think that I want the team I cover to get to the Super Bowl and get to do all that? He's like, I hang out with the other reporters around the country and they get to talk about, they get, what I mean? Like they're in the Super Bowl and all this shit. And I would like to do that. He said, now guys, look, if we look back with hindsight, there's a lot more negative than positive to write about. He said, so I was like, that is an interesting just point to consider. That said, it doesn't matter what's going on. He'll find, like, we could have a victory and he'll talk about, the guy who was messing with his shoelaces all game on the side. Like he's just, so out of Cimini comes this article where, again, and this is what I was talking about on Twitter today, which was he said, people close to Zach Wilson expect him to ask for a trade this offseason. So again, like, what does that even mean? People close to Zach Wilson. How close?
Garrett,
I mean, who?
Garrett Wilson.
People close, like in proximity, like they drive. I mean, like who? Is it his mother? Who? But it does. You don't. Once you say that, you don't need to. It's like, fucking people close to him, man. Trust me, I know people. And there's the thought, right? So Garrett Wilson is asked about it, if the team offers you an extension or you can ask for a trade. And he goes, look, man, want to end the season on a positive note, so to speak. And he says, I'm not thinking about or talking about that shit right now. And it's funny because most people took that as
he's gone.
Right. Like, see, he won't even say he'll accept $1 million contract. Like, it's like, well, he didn't say anything. He just said, dude, leave me alone. I want to fucking get 3 games left. Let me just play the damn games. You know what I mean? And then we'll figure everything out again. Gunny, I'll ask you what? Yeah. So what are your thoughts on all this? Both from the original point, or rumor, if you will, that Garrett Wilson's going to want to trade, to his answer. And like, so what is your overall view on this whole thing here?
I think Garrett Wilson is a competitor. I think he's an individual who's not accustomed to losing to this capacity. I mean, this is a guy who did a press conference just a couple weeks ago that talked about how losing appears to be in our DNA. And when something's in your DNA, like, the thought process is, well, it's part of your DNA. You can't really fix it, right? For him to have utilized that verbiage kind of stung a little bit, because I'm like, he's smarter than that. Saying DNA because you can't explain it no other way, you're kind of implying that it's just who this organization is. You can't really help it because of genetics, and that's always a tough thing. But I'll say this. So I'm kind of torn between this, is because the story came out. He then put a little underneath his profile that, you know what I'm saying, New York Jet till the wheels fall off, right? So he kind of like answered back to it later on that day by changing under his profile in social media. I think it was Twitter and Instagram. And he put New York Jet till the wheels fall off to indicate that, listen, I'm a New York Jet for life, right? Like, this is where he wants to be, etc. But then in today's press conference, what he actually said was, when he was asked the question, he said no. He said no, and then he goes, I don't know, right? And then he went about how he just wants to play these next 3 games. And the no that he said at first was what I think hurt my feelings. If he had just said, I don't know, I want to focus on, the rest of the season right now, this isn't the time to talk about contracts, I would have understood that. Makes perfect sense right now. The dude right now doesn't want to commit to anything because he needs to see how everything pans out. I would have understood that. Makes sense. But he initially he answers no. Then he goes, I don't know. And then he proceeds to kind of like try to diminish the initial no that he stated. And I think that's when I was just like, damn. So there's some hint of truth to it. Again, maybe one of those things where he's expressing frustration to family or some friends about how, like, he feels he's being underutilized. You've seen Aaron Rodgers miss him quite a few times over the last couple of weeks. Maybe there's a hint of frustration because Devontae came here and is now looked at as the number 1 guy. A lot of things could be in play here. So I think there is a hint to his frustration, and there is a hint to his desire to want to potentially go somewhere else. I am hoping at the end of the day, money talks. We do own his rights for the next 2 years at minimum, right?
Yeah.
And we could always
Before
franchise that.
tag.
Exactly. Yeah. So in all actuality, if we want to keep him here, we will keep him here. I think he's the kind of professional that if he doesn't get his way and he's here, he's going to play ball. He's not the kind of guy who's going to pout and not perform. But I do believe that, like, there's a piece of him that would welcome an opportunity to go somewhere else, just based off of his response in today's press conference. The initial no, and then, of course, realizing he said no, and then having to kind of backpedal a little bit to go ahead and be like, I don't know. I'm not focused about that. Let's get these next 3 games done, and then we'll worry about that stuff in the future. So, I mean, I'm hoping that we can change his mind here, get him to 1,000 yards, feed the kid a little bit, and maybe he loves the coach we bring in, loves the GM, and then we can just go ahead and sign this kid to an extension.
Dom, how do you see it? You agree with Gunny? Did you get the same overall feeling, or do you maybe see it a different way? What's your thoughts on the Garrett Wilson wants a trade and the press conference answer and all that jazz?
Well, my thoughts are that well before the Dick Chimney piece came out, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he, asks out sooner rather than later. His answer, I think he was just trying to brush off or not say anything too indicting. He didn't say, yes, I want to. He didn't say he didn't give the vote of confidence of, yes, I want to be here for my career. This is where my home is, blah, blah, blah. You know, he kind of intimated at some of the stuff, you know, was played nice with the Jets, you know, hey, they gave me a chance. I'm grateful for that. We'll see what, you know, whatever. But I think everyone's hanging on the fact that he said, I don't know, you know, when Antoine asked him the question, he said, I don't know, you know, I'm just trying to get through. I'm keeping my head where my feet are, just trying to get through the next 3 games and not worry about all that other stuff. We'll let all that work out. So he didn't give a yes. He didn't give a no. But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, of all of those draft picks in 2022, the big class that we had, it wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that did want out or ask out. Now, you guys talked about it. You know, we have rights to him. You know, it's similar to Jamal Adams. You know, Jamal Adams went kind of along the same way. Like, you know, I'm a Jet. I'm done with the Jets. I want out, you know. And yeah. Joe Douglas came in and said, okay, you know, no problem, Jamal. We'll see you later. You know, situations and context is a little bit different because, you know, he got 2 first-round picks for a safety as opposed to getting, you know, as opposed to a wide receiver, which is a premium position, a guy that you want to be the core here. So we'll see what happens, man. Would it surprise me if this all came about and you know, that stuff does, you know, maybe those trade talks do come out? It wouldn't surprise me. And, you know, it's kind of a ploy that a lot of agencies use to get their guys paid earlier, right? Brandon Ayuk, right? T. Higgins, you know, we're getting ready with it for Jamar Chase, like all the, you know, all these guys, you know, they oh yeah, you know, like, hey, you know, we want, you know, we want to be elsewhere. We want to be, you know, we want to be somewhere else. All those guys had talks and came out and said, you know, it's, you know, requesting trades. Some of them got traded and some of them didn't. You know, it's a ploy. So
even Quinnen Williams took all of his Jet stuff down from his social media and did all the stuff, which freaked everybody out. It's like, I know, I think there's just negotiating tactics and all that kind of stuff. That said, look, I think I like Dom said, I wouldn't be surprised if we heard that he asked for a trade. I would understand too. I mean, it's been frustrating. He's had 9 quarterbacks in 3 years and has somehow figured out a way to get, I mean, he's just under right now, but it looks like he'll get 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, which the Jets never see, by the way. We haven't seen a guy like that, which is why I laugh when, you know, fans say, oh, he's not so good. Like, dude, I mean, I don't know what the hell you need. Yeah, I don't know what you need to see. I really don't.
And the crazy part is, like, these are diehard fans who've watched this team for years talk about Garrett Wilson and all that. He's blah, blah, blah. Are you not watching football? Like, this guy would be a number 1 on, I think, 90% of NFL rosters. He's that good. And he's doing it with a bunch of scrubs. And even with Aaron Rodgers, who's not the same old Aaron Rodgers, an average quarterback, this guy is still beating double teams. He made freaking Jalen Ramsey 2 weeks ago look like a clown. Put him on skates at will. Like, I don't know what else the kid needs to do for people to look at him as a true number 1. I look at him as the number 1, and then we got Devontae as the 1B. But unfortunately for him, you know, Devontae and freaking, you know, Aaron Rodgers have that connection. So that's a little bit of a hard thing to go ahead and overcome. But yeah, I don't know. The whole Garrett Wilson is not a true number 1 to me. It's shocking. And Sauce Gardner is different. I think I just saw Snoopy say something. It's much different than Garrett Wilson. Sauce Gardner is
and I agree with Matt here. Matt says, you know, correctly. Well, the thing is that they don't need to, because people don't mind playing for correctly functioning organizations. That's why we're always dealing with this shit. But I mean, I think part of the issue here is the consistent seeking of drama. It's like, you know, there's these stories like, who the fuck wants to deal? I'll go play for the Cardinals. I'll go play for the Vikings. There's nothing like this ever coming out, ever, about that team, but it's 5 times a year from the same reporter here. And it's just, I mean, and they see it. Like when I see a player frustrated in a press conference, I understand because these questions are ridiculous a lot of the time. It's like, all right, well, he just asked that. I just answered. You're going to ask me again from it's the same question, man. Like, I get it. Like, I get why they would just go, look, I don't know. That's my answer. How's that? Stuff that in your stupid pipe. Like that kind of thing. Like you got the fans. The fans are, we're not right in the head. And then you got the losing. And then you got Woody and all that shit. And then you got the press. And it's like, get me the fuck out of here. This place is ridiculous. Especially somebody who's not from here. Like if they're from the Midwest or like California or some, the Pacific Northwest where everybody's mellow and shit. And you come here and it's like every 48 hours, there's a brand new story that you have to defend. And whether it's true or not, you still got to defend it, The Snoopy saying you're talking about holding prisoners already with the new regime. Not prisoners, dude. Talking about people under contract, just saying, shut your face. I mean, what's, again, like that's what I'm talking about, Snoopy. Why do we gotta, it's not prisoners. It's you signed a contract. You're going to finish your contract. If you don't want the extension, that's fine. If we offer you, okay, but you're going to play your contract. And the rules state that if we can't figure something out, we want to keep you, franchise tag it is. These are the rules. We're asking people to adhere to the rules. Now, that said, I would love for the Jets to make a serious, like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a gesture.
Effort, yeah.
To Garrett Wilson and say, look, dude, 100%. Make no mistake. You're the guy.
Yep.
Here.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
They can't do that until they get their new GM and head coach and regime in
also
here.
Like
those are the ones. Well, those are the ones.
Interview, you say, hey, look, you're keeping Rex Ryan, and you're gonna tell you have the new GM. You go, you're keeping Brick, you're keeping Middleton. What's wrong with that? You just say, hey, you want this job? But I think I don't think it's too far of a stretch. Like it's not like we're asking them to say, hey, look, dude. Neville Hewitt is untouchable.
Yeah. Solomon Thomas is that dude. You got to keep him on the roster.
Right. Xavier Gibson. Not up for discussion.
Mr. Untouchable.
Right.
It's Garrett freaking Wilson. Like this dude is a dog. Like not only is he a dog, he's also a leader of men. He's a great character kid. You could really put him on posters as your franchise guy. Like love Garrett Wilson. Like I think that's an easy sell, right? Not only is he a good character guy, a good dude off the field, but he balls out for you on the field. He's been one of the few constants, like one of the few consistent pieces on this Jets roster the last 3 years. So I think that's an easy sell.
I agree. I feel the same.
I think Garrett Wilson's a no-brainer.
And you just say, look, dude, like, come on. I mean, when you draft a wide receiver, you hope he's going to be a Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And most aren't.
Yeah.
That just intensity, that desire to win even great wide receivers throughout NFL history, when like they knew they weren't getting the ball, there's lots of examples where they 100%. Take the play off. Garrett Wilson never takes a play off. He's always balls to the wall. And you gotta love that. I mean, even in recent drafts, man, you look at like, the Traylon Burks of the world, we just had, Corey Davis. He was the top, what, he's 13th pick or something?
Fifth.
No, fifth.
Number 5.
He's a top 5 pick. And he's like, he's Lazard, for fuck's sake,
If that.
Jason Edwards, our buddy, checking in with his 21-month membership super chat. Thank you, Jay. He says, when I listen to other Jets fans talk about our own team, it's a joke. We need to stop falling for clickbait, support the team, or find a new one. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We are, well, look, and I'm somewhere in the middle, Jason. Like, I'm 100% with you, but I understand why. we're just beaten down as a fan base. It's like we never, even like Gunny said it at the beginning of the show, we got to win. Can we, and it's a meaningless win. Can we just enjoy it? No. Here's an article that Woody Johnson wants to base the operations of the team on Madden ratings. It's like, can 1 week, can we just, it's like either we're losing in miserable fashion or we win a game and we got to hear this shit. So it's like, I mean, it wears on you. You know what I mean? So I do understand why people are so nuts. That said, I agree with you. I don't click on any of this shit. I don't have a subscription to The Athletic. I don't know. I don't follow Rich Cimini. I don't like, none of these guys get a click from me. I mean, in my one single click to whatever value that is, they don't get it. They don't receive my support in any way, shape, or form. But most do. You know, because you wake up in the morning and it's right there on your feed and you can't help it. And they know headlines, baby. Yep. So that's what it is. That's what they're going for. J-Boy checking in. The best thing about this season is the fact we go back to 1:00 Sunday games. I know I have thoroughly enjoyed the 1:00 experience back again. Remember in the beginning, 3 games in 10 days, 2 of them prime time. Yeah. Like, they really didn't help us, by the way, Gunny. They didn't set us up for success, man. Not that that's the
we thought that was going to be the avalanche of our season, right? We just had to survive that, and then we had smooth sailing for the rest of the season. We played ourselves, GreenBean. We played ourselves.
Boy, did we believe, man.
Oh, man. We really did.
We believed. Yeah, but I'm with you, Jay. I welcome the 1:00. I love 1:00 games. Yeah, I really hope the NFL is not, they're just, I mean, dude, I'm a firm believer that you get accolades and rewards when you earn it, not with perceived value. I'm not a big fan of perceived value. Like, well, clearly this is going to be valuable. So I don't like that shit. I don't like speculation. Let the Jets do something. We haven't won more than 7 games since 2015. And most of those, we were 4 wins, 5, whatever it is. It's like, why are you giving us all these primetime games and building the schedule like we're a fucking juggernaut? Like, why are you doing that? So I'm ready. I'm ready to go back. And we have been, and I've loved it.
Yeah, I will be there Sunday, freezing my what's off. Watching
for his tush.
3 and
tush.
What? 3 and 10, 4 and
10,
4.
Hey, come on now.
4 and 10 New York Jets team in the cold, man. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone if my son didn't want to go. So we got the tickets, so why not?
Yeah, one of my boys got tickets to the game, and he was just like, "Hey, man, I'll even cover your flight." And I was just like, "Nah."
Dude, you couldn't get me to go.
It's gonna be 20. It's gonna be 21 degrees too. It's gonna be cold.
Yeah. It would have to be like box seats, free parking, free. Like the whole, like not not box, like luxury box, and like somehow
and access to the Gotham City crew, freaking like what I'm saying, like tailgate. I need access to that too.
Yeah, it would have to be really. I mean, you couldn't get me to go. Now, granted, I'm far away, so there's that. But yeah, I don't know, man. And then, by the way, and when I go, it sucks. I've watched 1 touchdown in the last 5 games. 1 offensive touchdown. That's ridiculous.
The last Jets game I saw
me laugh.
That we won was when we played the Cowboys like 4 years ago. When we still had Sam Darnold, and was it Sam Darnold? Yeah, it was Sam Darnold. And freaking,
that was a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game. The nice, beautiful pass to Robbie Anderson, bro. I was there at that game. It was amazing. That's the last time I was at a Jets win at MetLife Stadium.
My last one was 2015 Jets Jaguars. Thankfully, it was my son's first ever Jets home game. We were going to Miami all the time because we lived down there. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything positive in that building since. So that's a long ass time.
It's been a while. It's been a long ass time.
Dante checking in. He says, I'm one of the few fans that believe most, not all, of what's reported about the Jets. I don't believe these reporters hate the Jets. Rossini's family loves the Jets. It's just this org is that bad. All right, well, if you choose that, I think you need to factor this in. When, like the old journalism, I don't know, philosophy. If it bleeds, it leads, right? So drama is going to take precedence over a fucking feel-good piece. And the Jets get more clicks than any team in the NFL, without question. All right?
No question.
So with that formula, Dante, it doesn't matter. Like, Rossini's family could love the Jets. She's got a job to do. And that job is to get clicks, attention, and make money for the rag that she's writing for. So again, I don't know what's true, what's not true. I believe some, I don't believe some other stuff. But like when you just look at the formula, if it bleeds, it leads, and the Jets get more clicks. So what would that encourage you to do? Put out hit pieces because it gets eaten up. It's on McAfee. It's on this. I mean, look at her career since she started doing this shit with the Jets. It's like tenfold her career. She was blowing people in Washington for stories just not even a couple years ago. And now look at her.
That's not hyperbole.
She's all over ESP. She's everywhere because of this. So, I mean, it's a good career move. So you got to factor that in. Again, I'm not saying that it's not true. Some of the shit sounds so fantastical. I'm like, I can't. I mean, if it is happening, like let's say over the last year, Robert Saleh did lock everybody in the room and demand their cell phones. And Woody Johnson is saying, don't do that trade because his Madden score is too low. I mean, if that all is happening, then we got to, I'll tell you what really has to happen is we have to reevaluate our lives.
100%.
All right. That's 100%. The real problem, Dante.
Oh, you know what will stop all this? And this might be a simpleton take. You know what will stop all this? Winning.
Oh,
winning will stop all of this nonsense.
Cures all. And in fact, winning cures all so much. If this shit was true, we'd have been like, we don't care.
Yeah,
we're winning games, baby. We don't care. Right. Let the 17-year-old run the show. I don't care.
That's right. Madden scores while it's working. Let him yell at Mike White in the shower. Who gives a shit? He deserved it.
Was he wrong? If he did yell that at Mike White, was he wrong? Really?
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, people were saying, well, they wanted to sign Mike White and he didn't want to sign because Woody was mean to him, made him cry in the locker room. It's like, all right, man. We're not talking about, Peyton Manning here. We're talking about Mike White.
Mike White. Let's relax.
Yeah. Mike White couldn't beat out Skylar Thompson
for the number 2 role.
Yeah.
and then both
Skylar Thompson got cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's on a practice squad right now. So like let's keep things in perspective. Granted, that said, maybe you shouldn't be so mean. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy. I'm not so mean to people. But thank you, Dante. Mid-Flair checking in. Nobody even makes jokes about me being a Jets fan at this point. They just feel bad. This is the lowest we've ever been.
That's so much worse. That is so much
worse.
It hurts more.
Like, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, literally.
How does that sound?
Are you okay, man?
What?
Man. Like, literally, at my job now, they don't even make fun of me anymore. They're just like, man, listen, man, you good? You gonna be all right? And
I need your sympathy.
More.
What do I look like? That's what do I look like a guy who needs your sympathy? I chose this.
I was built in the dark.
That's right. I was born in the dark. That's the whole thing, man. It's so true. God. I know. I hate it, Mitt. It's like, dude, just shut up. Just leave me alone. But I'll tell you what I don't do anymore.
Or roast me. I'd rather you roast me than do that. Like,
I'll tell you what I'm not doing anymore, Gunny. I ain't walking around town like this anymore, though.
Nah, this only comes on podcasts.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's back there for decoration.
That's right. I wear a Charlie Daniels hat or some fucking... I wear this thing all the time. They don't know what I am.
Yep.
I just love walking around town. They call me a gnome.
Yeah,
a little flappy doodle. I'd rather be called a garden gnome than a Jets fan.
Yeah, I'm a Jets fan right now, 100%.
Yeah, but it's the worst.
100%.
It's the worst. This season is particularly bad. Now, let me get to Ohio here. And then I want to ask you guys something. We're going to get into some brass tacks here. We got a whole bunch of folks in here today. Wow, we got a lot of Twitters, but we got 123 people on YouTube. And we only got 56 likes. So what do you say we squeeze those udders? What do you say? What do you say we hit the fucking milk thumbs, huh? Let's do it for
likes.
Spread the love. Let's hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, do that too. Every week, it's crazy. Like on Sunday, I go up like 70 subscribers every Sunday. And then by Thursday, I've lost 23 subscribers. What is that?
Okay, so it's not just me? I thought it was just me.
So,
I mean, are you mad
you know
at
what?
me?
I want to make a point to that because I know, and listen, you guys probably have many more Twitter followers than I do, but I hover around 2,100. And over the past month, I noticed I was under 2,000. I was like, man, what did I say? What did I do? It's not. So Elon has an algorithm now that's getting rid of all the porn bots
accounts.
The porn bots. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know I was followed by 100 porn bots.
I guess it's been a lot more for me. I've lost about 500 followers on Twitter in the last.
Yeah, I lost. Yeah.
I was like, man, what did I say? How did I offend so many people? I've been trying to figure it out.
I feel like on YouTube, I feel like it's like I don't make as many videos as I was because I'm just working all day, every day, right? So I'm like, I can't quite muster up the gumption, the energy to do it. And I feel like people are mad. Like I'm like, why every week? It's like it's a crazy thing. So anyway, subscribe if you're there, if you're hanging out. Ohio checking in. What's up, buddy? So despite 25 years of data, all Jets fans should blindly support this team and be happy about it just because? Is that what you heard, Ohio? Is that what we're saying? No, I'm not saying that. I mean, fuck, I sent my resume into the company to be the GM. I'm not happy. But I'm saying when they tell you, crazy shit, like Woody is running the team, overriding trade packages because this rating on Madden is too low. There's a line. I mean, what am I? Am I a sheep? Am I a lemming? I mean, look, we're going to root for the team. We're Jets fans, so we're stuck.
Exactly. Ohio Jets fan, right? The very definition of being a fanatic is to literally root for something and believe in something with with an abundance of zeal that it makes no sense. Like, and this is why you're a Jets fan. Like, you love this team. You put literally in your Ohio Jets fan, knowing that this team has given us nothing to be proud of in over 14 years. 14 years is the last time we can look at this team and be like, hell yeah, I'm a Jets fan and be proud about it. Why? You're a real fanatic. Real fanatics, this is what we do. We look at this team, and even though we're all hurting right now, we're all hoping in the offseason, somehow, some way, whatever moves we make, that those moves are going to result in a different result for us next season, and we're right back in this thing, right? So that's sadly or unfortunately what it means to be a fan. We look at this team blindly. We see the flaws. We know that they're capable of hurting us, but we keep looking for the best in them. We just keep looking for the best in them, and we're here to support them.
We want to believe that taking Brian Thomas over Ed Reed was the right move.
Right choice.
We know. We know in our hearts. But it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a difference, right? It's like we're going to root, we're going to hope, we're going to, all that stuff. And when they hire the coach, you're like, that's the guy, like Adam Gase. You're like, oh my God. I mean, fuck, please let them be right.
Yeah.
So we're going to root. But I don't think buying everything that's said about the team, like blindly believing everything said, I mean, the same point goes to that as well. I don't know, man. I don't know who's happy about it. I'm miserable with this shit. Yeah. I can't stand it. I would love to get through one season without any of this baloney. It's incessant. It's constant. It's every couple of weeks we have to deal with either terrible losses or dramatic, crazy stories, like the most ridiculous. So I don't think we're happy about it. That's certainly not what what we're saying. I'm just saying, like, just trying to be objective. Like, what do you believe and not believe? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're hearing or not, but that's definitely not our intention. But thank you, buddy. Jason Edward checking back in. I swear I've seen a lot of crazy stuff as a Jets fan, but to think we are 4-10 at this point of the season is seriously the worst. Yeah, I mean, you said it.
I agree. I don't know if I've had a more painful season as a Jets fan, and I know that's crazy. We got the Vinny Testaverde injury when we were gonna, but like this is one of those things where this team it wasn't just us. It wasn't just us fans that were sitting here like, oh yeah, you can't. We're gonna literally. Other teams were talking about like the Jets are going to be scary. Analysts were talking about like the Jets are going to win the AFC. They're that good to knock out the Chiefs. Like this was compounded by a lot of individuals who saw this and thought like this team was going to go ahead and do great things. And what did they do? They did same old Jet stuff. And I think because the anticipation was significantly higher, because if we're being honest with ourselves as Jets fans, we go into every season with a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of reservation, knowing like, we might not be as good. But you know what? We might surprise some people. But we literally looked at our freaking schedule this year, and it was hard for us as a fan base, as for analysts, for our haters to even say they're going to lose against this team or that team. That's how high the bar was set. And I think because it was set that high, our disappointment crashing down to 4-10 right now, we need to win out just so we can have the same record as last year. I think is extremely painful.
At best.
All we can do is be as bad as we were last year if we win out right now. So I think, this is one of the worst seasons I've had as a fan. And it's not because of injury or anything. It's because the anticipation was so high and the bar was set so high, not just by me as a fan, but everybody outside of the fan base even looking at this team and thought, yeah, them boys are going to be scary. And they wind up being freaking just the same old Jets.
And we're going to watch Aaron Rodgers throw for 4,000 yards and break the record, and everybody wants to get rid of him. I mean, the amazing conflict, it's too much. It's too much to take. I just want to, this is supposed to just be fucking sport. We're supposed to watch it and go, yay, touchdown. Like that's what we're supposed to do. But no. It's designed. It's the craziest thing, Mr. Edwards. It really is. We'll get to Dante here. He says, one positive, Dom, from this story is that more of the national audience sees how bad Woody Johnson sucks. Also, Rick Johnson is a wild name to give your son. It is. Poor Chris. They're like, really Woody, weird. Brick, and he's Christopher. He's like, come on. You couldn't have called me huge? Call me huge. That's a Joe Conti joke. Yeah. He said, Joe Conti, the great Joe Conti, Joe the comic, diehard Jets fan, said he used to have a bit where he said, he met somebody named Peter Pecker, which is true, actually. It's a real person from my high school. And he said, if my last name was Pecker, you don't name him Peter. You got to help him out. You call him huge, delicious. Wow. You know what I mean? Something like that. And he goes, if I had a daughter, her name would be Hates, Bites, Choose, Won't Suck. That's her name.
Lucifer.
So, but anyway, it's a big one. But, Tom, what do you think? I mean, is it a good or bad thing that maybe now the world looks at Woody Johnson, maybe the NFL goes, bro, you're out of control. We're going to force you to sell the team. Something like that.
Nah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. That last part. But, and I don't know if the national viewers think it. I mean, didn't they think that last year when this same dysfunctional hit piece came out? When Robert Saleh and Woody almost came to blows at the owners' meeting, didn't they think it the first 4 times that Rosenblatt and Rossini put this, or the first 3 times this year that they put the hit piece out? So I don't know if this is the one that is the straw that breaks the camel's back in that sense.
Yeah. So I don't know, Dante. You think about it, like if you got a crazy uncle who runs around the house with a knife every Sunday and talks about the blue giraffe, let's say. Is it a positive that the neighbors know that that's going on in your house? I mean, I don't know. It's like, I'd rather keep that shit. Let's lock him up in the basement. Crazy Uncle Ed, would just leave him down there. The neighbor's going, hey, I heard you have a crazy Uncle Ed. What's this about blue giraffes? Like, God. I don't know if it's a positive that people are knowing what we're dealing with over here. They're already laughing just at our suctitude. Now we got to deal with this shit. So I don't know, buddy. But I will say, Brick Johnson, that's some serious stuff. Jason Evans,
I blame his mother.
That's heavy duty. Right? It's heavy duty shit.
Heavy duty.
Jason checking back in. At this point, I equate my fandom to arthritis, a dull yet crippling pain that lasts a lifetime. The pain never goes away. Yeah. And every couple of days you go, oh, I think I might be feeling better. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
They have this new cream. Supposed to be great. No, that's Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna suck.
That's all it is. It's temporary. It's temporary.
It's temporary. I'll tell you, man. Yeah, I hear you. Man. That's a good way to put it, Jason. So let me ask you guys this. I'll start with you, Gunny. As far as like all right. So here we are, right? Now this season's been crazy. We've had, some ups, mainly downs, but we're kind of settling into this little bit of a groove here. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers is looking like he's going to come near or throw over 4,000 yards, which would be the first time in our lifetime that he did that anybody's done that. We got guys like Garrett Wilson. You got Devontae Adams, right? You got 4/5 of the offensive line. You got Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, If it was up to you, Gunny, are you making a push to run this back? Okay, well, this season, clearly they needed it. It took longer than we wanted, but they needed it to get everything together. And dismantling it at this point would be foolish. We're going to run it back. Or are you saying, look, dude, we're bringing in new offensive staff anyway. It's going to be another year of them learning shit and figuring it out. Where do you stand with the running back, running it back next year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm and the rest of the crew?
Yeah, I think for me, it boils down to this upcoming quarterbacks class, right? I don't see a quarterback in this class that really gets me excited. I don't think there's a franchise guy in this quarterback class. Now, some people will tell me, Shedeur Sanders or Ward or those guys. I don't think so. I think those guys are significantly flawed and they're going to be limited at the next level. So you're going into this season, in my opinion, needing a bridge quarterback. And there really isn't anybody that's going to be a free agent that's better than Aaron Rodgers. There just isn't. If we're being honest, you look at the options that are out there. I think Aaron Rodgers winds up being the best option to go ahead and kind of bring back. You've seen him, what he's looked like over the last, I think it's 5 weeks right now in the NFL. And he's just looked better. Post bye week, he's able to move around more. So I do believe there is some truth to the fact that maybe he was dealing with injuries and still trying to go ahead and just toughen it up and play through those injuries for the team. That bye week allowed him to kind of heal up a little bit because you saw him moving around the last couple of weeks, and it just looks like a guy that, okay, I thought you were a statue, but you still got some wheels. And you see that his connection with Garrett Wilson, connection with Devontae Adams have taken another level. I think the smart move is to run it back, man. And I think the other day on the show, I was talking to, I had Frankie on the show, and it just made perfect sense, right? You run it back, and you have really a safety net. You got a whole new coaching staff, whole new general manager. There's not a lot of options out there in terms of quarterbacks. So you bring back Aaron Rodgers. You keep the offensive side of the ball as together as possible. I think you need to go ahead and look for a right tackle. I think the defensive tackle in the first round, Mason Graham, should be the move to go ahead and add next to Quentin Williams. You let your defense kind of rebuild. The defense, to me, was the biggest surprise into how much of a cliff they've fallen off of. So you got to put some work on the defensive side of the football. I think offensive-wise, man, you're hearing Aaron Rodgers talk about he's willing to go ahead and do whatever it takes, whether it's mentoring the next quarterback, adjusting, the offensive scheme. He obviously wants to play here, and he wants to kind of follow through what he said. Devontae Adams already talking about he didn't make the move over here for a one-year thing. He'd like to go ahead and be here. So I think you run it back with the offense. you Jordan Travis to be able to come out next year too, see what he's got after the injury. Maybe he can go ahead and show you that he's got some skill sets. But I think really for the quarterback aspect of 2026 draft is where you want to really look at running back next year. If the Jets are good, somehow, some way, Aaron Rodgers continues to play at this clip. Right now, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. If you average out all of his averages, he's a top 10 guy in the NFL. And he's gonna break some records for us this year. You run it back again next year with Aaron Rodgers. If he's good, great. You're looking at potentially being a playoff team. Now, if he's bad, you've got a built-in scapegoat. If he's trash, hey, listen, I new GM, new head coach. I came here, wanted to implement my offense. Aaron Rodgers is being freaking stubborn, but it's okay. We're getting rid of him now. We're gonna go. You go into year 2 knowing, okay, well, you had the scapegoat there. Aaron Rodgers didn't have it anymore. You get to bring your guy in. And I think it's just kind of like it eases the transition, right, of you implementing your culture, implementing your will, what you want your offense to look like, your defense to look like, and having that continuity on offense. I think at this time, it just makes too much sense. Run it back with the offense, run it back with Aaron Rodgers. You need to add some pieces, I think, on defense. We need to get the defense mind right because I don't know what the hell's going on with the defense because this is not the defense we thought we were getting.
No.
And then we take it from there. Again, having the ability to use Aaron Rodgers as a scapegoat. I think if I'm the GM or the head coach, think about it. If you go to the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, hey, look what I can do. I'm so awesome. I was able to get this team to the playoffs when they couldn't do it last year. And if they're bad, hey, we try to make it work with Aaron Rodgers, but he's clearly doesn't have it anymore, and he's not adjusting to the game plan. He's got to go. It to me, it just makes too much sense if you're that GM or the head coach. So that's my take on it. You bring back Aaron Rodgers. If he starts to suck, you bring in Jordan Travis next year. At some point next year, see what he's got. You know what I'm saying in terms of being able to play. If he's got game, you got a guy that you can rely on in 2026. If not, definitively you're going for your guy and one of those quarterbacks in 2026.
All right. Before I get your answer, Dom, I want to remind everybody about the amazing offer from our sponsor, BetUS. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000, everybody. All you got to do is use the promo code YouTube150. I did just that, and I took that extra capital, and I placed it on the Jets to win, and I won. So there you go. I'm rolling in it. That also gets you a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. YouTube 150, everybody. That is the great BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Thank you for sponsoring the stream. What do you think of that, huh? I fucking laid it down for you, Dom.
Yeah, you did.
What you did? I was fucking. How do you feel? Like, to answer the same question that Gunny did, where do you stand on the running it back with the A-Rod and crew?
I kind of fall on a different side. I'm ready to turn the page. And I think now is the right time to turn the page in the sense that new GM, new head coach, new coaching staff, new front office, let them kind of feel their way, bring their guys in, set things up the way the way they need to. It's retool, not rebuild. Because you still have some core pieces here. And to me, when I look at it, is the one thing that I want more than anything. Not just I want a Super Bowl, obviously, but I want to be one of those teams. I want to be Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to be the Baltimore Ravens. I want to be the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills. The San Francisco 49ers, a team that has continued and continued success. One of those teams that can build something, not just for a short term, not just for 1 year. Like, getting the playoffs is going to be great, but if it's the playoffs and then another handful of years of sucking, like, I don't want it. Like, build me a team that can be a real juggernaut, a real, a kick in the ass in the NFL for a longer period of time, extended period of time. To do that, I think you have to bring the right guys in, sure, but you have to let them make the decisions. And, what you don't want to do is you don't want to hamper them with, a fouled up cap space situation. And for that reason alone, I think I would bite the bullet and take it on the chin next year, $49 million of Aaron Rodgers. I was very much for the move. You know, he got injured last year. That stunk. You know, and it hasn't worked out this year. And you know, some of it is his fault and a lot of it's not, but it hasn't worked out. So I think it's time to just turn the page. Let's kind of let all of that ick and anything that's been associated with the ick of this tenure of the Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas fiasco, and just set her aside and let's move onward and upward. So
wash it away.
If I had my druthers, I would move on from Aaron Rodgers.
Interesting. We got contrasting points of view, everybody. What do you think of that? Nicholas Roca checking in. If you want to take any positives, is that Woody might change simply by being bullied and made fun of relentlessly more than any other year ever. Do you think any of that stuff even makes it to him? I mean, supposedly he reads social media and stuff, so maybe. But I don't know.
Maybe if he does, though, if he's so tied into Twitter and the Twitter Spaces and all these other, like, fucking hammer him. Just start Woody. You know, enough's enough. You get lost. Stop meddling. You know, go count your money up in the executive box. You know, count the diamonds in your Woody chain. I don't know. Just start hammering him.
Yeah, and maybe he'll hear that. Maybe then Nick's point would come to fruition. It's like, oh, maybe I am a complete asshole. It's hard to accept when you spent $625 million 20 years ago on a team, and it's worth $6.4 billion. It's hard to listen to anybody. You know what I mean? You're like, dude, $6.4 billion. I'm the fucking big boss.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. He's like, screw you, you know? So I don't know, Nick. I don't know if it's going to work. But like Dom said, if it is going to work, that's the way to do it. You got to hammer them. You got to let them know we aren't happy with you.
Hey, did you, and not to veer off topic here, GreenBean and Gunny, but did you see who the Jets interviewed today for the GM spot?
Yeah, Nagy. You know what's funny? I was going to bring him up because I know you're in love with him.
Yeah.
Dom wants to kiss and hug Nagy.
I have many times. I have hugged him many times. The friendly
so the
fella.
Jets interviewed Jim Nagy of Senior Bowl fame, was a scout for many, many years in the NFL, and has been the president. I guess his title, it might be, and you can correct me, president of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. He's the big boss, and he has been for 7 years. Yeah,
but the guy he replaced is our current GM, Dom. So I don't know. Do we keep the streak going? I mean, what do we do here? So how do you feel about Nagy being the?
I love the interview. I love the interview. And more so, I mean, listen, you're getting a guy who's got 20 years of scouting experience, NFL scouting experience. On top of running and organizing the Senior Bowl, where he is as tied in with teams and owners and agents as anyone in the league. Like, the relationships that he's built just through the Senior Bowl alone, I think could pay dividends. Could he be the GM? Sure, he could. But I love the interview because, he could, there's spots in the front office that a guy like that would do wonders for, right? So say you bring in one of these, more like this Greenberg guy that they're talking about, is more of like an analytical and contract focused GM. You bring in Jim Nagy as well to kind of head up the college and pro person, college personnel, pro personnel, or something like that. Like, so whether or not he becomes the GM, I like the fact that they're casting a wide net and talking to a lot of different guys, because there's only going to be one GM, but there's plenty of roles in the front office, right? There's plenty of roles, and now you're getting FaceTime with these guys.
What do you think, Gunny? You have any thoughts about Jim Nagy? Is that your guy?
Yeah,
Gunny's a big Jim Nagy guy.
I wouldn't say I'm a big Jim Nagy guy. I think I said before, Dorsey for me and Agnew are my two favorite guys for the job.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, when you look at Jim Nagy, I mean, this is a guy who's been a part of Super Bowl teams. I know he was a guy with the Seattle Seahawks as a scout, right? So he understands talent. If I'm not mistaken,
Patriots too. Patriots, well.
The Chiefs. Yeah. There was another team too. He's been a part of winning organizations like that. That's his pedigree. So a guy who has an eye for talent, you really can't discount that. That's important. Being able to go ahead and find those freaking morsels of talent, not just in the first and the second round, but being able to find contributors in later rounds. I do believe he was one of the guys who found Richard Sherman, if I'm not mistaken, for the Seattle Seahawks.
Huh.
And Sherman was a later draft pick as well, and he wound up being one of the guys being compared to the great Darrelle Revis, although that kind of fell off of a cliff relatively quick. So Jim Nagy is a guy that I do believe is competent in the talent evaluation department. I think when it comes to general manager, if we're sticking to the logic of wanting somebody who's got experience in that role or around that role, I think that's limited, right? I think he's been doing the Reese's Bowl the Senior Bowl since 2019 or 20, 4 to 5 years, something like that. So it's been a while, right, since he's been in the NFL level. So again, not mad at it. Again, this is a guy who can evaluate talent, and again, you need that. I'm with Dom on this one. I think if you brought him in, I don't know if GM is where I would be the happiest to bring him in, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you make him the head of the scouting department, I'd be all on board with that. Like, I think he can bring a lot of value there. But yeah, again, an individual who obviously has an eye for talent, and again, he has a Super Bowl pedigree. He's been on Super Bowl teams, Super Bowl contenders. You can't be mad at that, because you're trying to go ahead and bring that mindset, that culture to the Jets, and he's obviously knows what that looks like from the inside.
Yeah, interesting. I'm impartial. I mean, I don't hate him, but he doesn't get me. He doesn't get my juices flowing.
Doesn't tickle my fancy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This isn't the guy.
Right. Dorsey, going out there and bringing in Dorsey and Vrabel to me is like, all right, we're serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, who knows if it'll work, but we're serious.
And I also believe those are the two individuals, if you bring into the building, can tell Woody Johnson to shut up and go sit in his office and let them do their job. I think that's
right. They're going to say, look, we really appreciate your $6.4 billion, but this is a meeting for the men.
Yeah. Go sit in the room, go play Madden with your sons. Go play Madden with your sons. Y'all can pretend to go ahead and be GMs and coaches on that.
That's right. Take your necklace off and cut it out. You're not sauce. Jason checking back in. I feel linebacker is a sneaky position in need. Thoughts? Well, I'll tell you what. I was I'm recently watching Danny Stutzman. Dom.
Ooh.
Any thoughts about the Oklahoma product?
Yeah, he's my third ranked linebacker in my class. I don't know the athletic profile.
He tackles high a lot. So for me,
I don't know. He's kind of one of the things. I think he's more of a guy who plays better, like with his strength and leverage and his heads than he does with, as an athletic guy. I think he's a sure tackler. That's for goddamn sure. Probably a better fit as a middle linebacker in like that Pittsburgh defense, that 3-4, where he can play downhill and really do that. Yep. But interesting. I mean, this is such an interesting topic that Jason brought up, because everyone's like, we got Sherwood, we got Mosley, we got Quincy. What are we going to linebacker for? But we really don't. If you think about it, who knows what's happening with CJ Mosley? We don't know if he's going to be
with Sherwood. He's a free agent.
Sherwood's not going to be a fit depending on what kind of scheme this new defense coordinator brings in. Sherwood's a fit to play the position he is right now. A 4-3 middle linebacker where he can roam sideline to sideline, use his speed and stuff like that.
Yep.
He's not a fit for, that in the trenches, where he's got you get in there and shuck defender, shuck lineman off him. That's not his fit. So, depending on the defense is really going to be dependent on what we do with Sherwood. So, you take those two out of the equation. Who knows what happens to CJ? Who knows what happens with Sherwood? And Quincy's going into his last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Quincy holds out.
Yeah, right. He's like, I ain't making nearly enough money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm with you, Jay. I think that linebacker is a sneaky need. I'd love to see. I mean, it's been a long time since we just buckled down and took a premier linebacker up top, like somebody that's going to come in and lay the wood. I got more work to do, but I did start the linebackers. What's the kid from Georgia too? I'm just spacing out on his name. I think he's more of an outside linebacker though. What's his name? Hold on.
You're not talking about the middle linebacker.
No, hold on. I'll find it. No, Campbell. Wait. Oh, Walker. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's probably going to be more of an edge player.
Yeah, I was looking at him. I was looking at Campbell from Alabama. There's some interesting guys.
Campbell from Alabama is a really, really good player.
Yeah. So let's see. Jimmy Jet says, if GreenBean can't get the GM job, maybe he can be hired as a pro tight end scout for the East Coast area. Yeah. See, I don't know what I'm doing. This is the thing. I walk in there. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, but I do know how to build and lead. That's my thing. I know how to get people that know how to do their job to do their fucking job. That's my expertise. My father says it's because I'm extremely lazy. So I know how to get everybody else to work. That's what he said. He said, I figured that out. You were 10 years old. I'd tell you to mow the lawn. I come back. There's fucking 4 of your friends out there doing it. He's like, you have a skill, man. But I think it's because I'm a natural born leader. That's what it is. But who knows what the reason is. Either way, I've done very, very well with it, Jimmy. So, tight ends. Give me the tight ends. I'll go find you a fucking tight end. I'll find the tight end.
This is the year to look for a tight end. It's a very, very deep class.
Good. Let's get 3 of them.
Very, very good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in. I'm all about it, dude. Tight ends, dude, if you get the right tight end, somebody that can really block and really catch, and when the ball's in his hand, looks at a 5'9" or 5'10" defensive back running at him with his full 185 pounds and goes, no way, son. Are you taking me down? You better grab the ankles, kid. Like something like that. That's the guy you want, Gunny, right? It's like they get the ball in their hands and they turn around and they look upfield and there's 2 guys that weigh 185 running at him. They're like, oh.
He just laughs.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to feel this, kids. That's my tight end. That's what I want. E-Boogie says, no to Jim, yes to Dorsey, and keep A-Rod, baby. See, I'm kind of right in there with E-Boogie these days. I was out on Rod. I was right where Dom was a couple weeks ago, and I look at like what the options are for next year, and it's like it's going to be a transitional. If it's Tyrod Taylor, if it's fucking Jordan Trav, it's going to be that year. So run it back. I don't know.
I look at it this way, right? Thing. Like if we're going to watch football next year, if you're looking for the best bang for your buck, right, or the best hopeful season you can have, you look at what's available, and I'm like, Aaron Rodgers, if he keeps playing like he is now, can he actually do this for a full season next year? Gives us at least hope. We go into the season at least next year with some more hope. And I think that's the key thing. But I know he's willing to restructure. I wouldn't want him at his current freaking cap hit on the back end, because I think it's like what, $60 million or something like that. Yeah, he has to restructure. But yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers makes the best sense if you're looking to at least go into next season with some kind of hope that you might be able to go ahead and pull off some wins.
How old is
this
he?
Broncos Chargers game. He's 41 right now. Aaron Rodgers will be 42 next December.
Yep.
He's old, everybody.
He's old. Yeah, he's definitely
Boogie
old.
Says, I agree with GreenBean, Dorsey, and Vrabel. That's Gunny, too. That's Gunny's. So, yeah, man. I mean, dude, that shows the world. It shows the team like we're serious. Don't forget, guys, Dorsey is the guy responsible for, number one, bringing in Andy Reid when the Eagles fired him, drafting Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, what the fuck, Tyreek Hill.
Built that team. He built that championship team.
And then he went and built the Cleveland Browns, that defense. And they ended up firing him. He took Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall, maybe ill-advised, but Baker's not terrible.
Baker's not bad. He's a franchise guy. He's not a top 10 guy.
Average.
But he's
right. He's in one of
an average quarterback.
but he's not terrible. So it's like, I mean, the guy knows what he's doing, and he's respected around the NFL. He's done, this would be his third time doing it. You get a great coach like Vrabel in here. You get some men in the building that aren't like, focused on their sayings, like all gas, no break, and all that shit. So I don't know. That's what I'm rooting for. I hope they pull that together. I'd hate to see like Jim Nagy and Matt Nagy, like the Nagy's. Be like, okay. I mean, you could do worse, but okay. E-Boogie says, Dom C, any ball hawk safeties out there for the Jets this year? What do you got?
Yeah. There's a couple of them. I mean, the best safety in the class is Malachi Starks, kid out of Georgia.
Yeah.
He's a really good all-around player. But I think the true, like, if you're talking like ball hawk, true center field type, Xavier Watts from Notre Dame.
Xavier Watts. Yep. I was looking at your breakdown, and I didn't know who he was. I won't lie. When I was looking at
he's got double-digit interceptions throughout his career.
That's the kid we should bring.
Yeah, he's a player. Kevin Winston is another one from Penn State who had an injury this year, so he missed a lot of time. But he's another guy that kind of falls into that mold. There's a lot of good safeties in the class this year. I don't know if they're going to be a lot of top, like first round types, but there's a lot of good ball players. It's a position that just, the player can be great, and the positional value just pushes them down anyway.
Yeah. Go take a look at Xavier Watts, E-Boogie. Take a look at that guy.
His
Obviously, right up top, you have Starks, guys like Starks and Winston. Some of those guys, but yeah, take a look, man. There's some opportunity. And look, throughout the Joe Douglas tenure, the one position I think you could say didn't get that much love, real attention, is the safety position. We've added people, and there's been some, but at least as far as the draft is concerned, I mean, the highest was Ashton Davis in his first draft in the 3rd round. So anyway, E-Boogie checking back in. It's the E-Boogie show. This is great. E-Boogie, all right. Says, Gunny, any player or players you see the Jets are keeping or letting go or go after? Wow. 20-0. Yes, no, GreenBean for GM. Thank you, E-Boogie. He's the best. Gunny,
for me,
who we going for? Who we letting go? Who we keeping? What do you got?
I think Sherwood is sticking around. I know it's not Dom, Frankie. I've spoken to those guys. Both of them think that like he's a little bit too light for the linebacker role. But I think in this day and age, man, when you need your linebackers to be able to cover, tight ends, and they're able to go ahead and go sideline to sideline, I see the value in a guy like Sherwood, and he has balled out this year. I think he's going to be a priority personally. And if I'm being honest, I also think we're going to keep Eccles. I think Eccles is a guy that they're going to probably prioritize to kind of bring in there. Playing cornerback in the NFL is not easy. It's difficult. DJ Reed's going to probably ask for too much money. So I think Sherwood and Eccles are going to be priority re-signs. And in terms of any individual out there that I'd be keen on, I look at the defense side of the football, and I'm looking towards the draft really to go ahead and infuse that side of the ball with some youth. Especially
a lot of holes to fill on the defense.
A lot of holes. Yeah.
If you look at the starting 11, right? You got I'm talking starting 11, not even backups.
Yeah, starting.
You got one cornerback, 2 safeties.
Yep.
Possibly one linebacker. Probably one defensive tackle. One edge, if Reddick doesn't come back, I mean, with JJ.
Well, you got Will and JJ. JJ will be back, so you have your 2. But I mean, you have nobody after that. Like the defense, I think, is going to require almost a complete rebuild. Like I didn't realize how many guys were under contract that are done after this year. So for me, filling out the defense is going to be key. And I think this draft is going to primarily focus on defense. Honestly, for me in this draft, my biggest offensive want or desire would be to go ahead and get one of those tight ends. But after that, man, just go get studs for the defense side of the football, because that defense is depleted. So for me, it's Eccles, it's freaking Sherwood, and I'm looking at the draft to go ahead and pretty much round out our defensive side of the football.
How many defenses are 3-4, you think? Like, what's the percentage?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of teams that there's very few that run a strict base 3-4 these days, but a lot of teams are multiple. A lot of teams are adjustable. Pittsburgh is one that runs 3-4. The Rams are one. Tampa Bay is one. Minnesota is one. I'm off the top of my head here. So Jacksonville is one. The Patriots are one.
I feel like the 4-3 though is more.
Denver is one. The Chargers is one. It's a lot of 3-4 teams. A lot of 3-4 base teams.
But the way the NFL is going, wouldn't you think the 4-3 I think is more conducive to causing more of a headache for most offenses?
Only if they can get home. Only if they can do their job.
True.
I love like 4-3 is like I'm it's ingrained, like the sack exchange, the Dennis Bird.
Yeah, I love the 4-3.
If you can get the pressure with the 4 natural down linemen, it's optimal because then you have plenty flooding the the lanes and everything. So that's great. But if they can't, and you have to use guys to blitz and create any pressure, it's a flop.
Holes. Yeah.
Which is like, look, man, up until this year, like, look, it worked. Our defensive line was sick, and we got plenty of pressure. And then if they did send a blitz, it was just too much. You send Quincy or whoever just kind of speeding through. But if you don't have the horses, then a 4-3 is a waste of time.
That's true.
3-4. The great thing about 3-4, we were actually talking about it last week in the game stream with Frankie and Jeremy. The great thing about 3-4 is you can instantly be a 4-3 if you want to. You just bring
one of your outside linebackers.
But when you're built for a 4-3, dropping those fucking big ass guys back, it's like you're at a disadvantage. You're like, why is Reddick out there covering it? It's like, oh yeah, because it doesn't make sense. But the other way affords you that versatility, I think. So it's one of those things, but it's a whole different thing. You got to rebuild. You need a whole bunch of different guys.
Well, if you look at how the team is constructed, our defense now, the guys that are here, all right, fine. Michael Carter, Michael Carter is going to be your, he's going to be your sub nickel. That's where he's going to play. So he's off the field for in base. Sauce Gardner obviously is going to stay. You can get away absolutely with Will McDonald and JJ as your outside linebacker, rush, edge, end players. But the big question is what happens up the middle, right? Because we don't have line, but CJ Mosley, a healthy CJ Mosley can play 3-4 inside linebacker. He did it for Baltimore for years, but it's not, that, like I said, that downhill stacking and shedding blockers is not Jamin Sherwood's forte. He needs to play in space. And then what do you do with Quentin Williams?
That's the big question.
You don't play him. He's not a 0. He's not a nose. So are you going to put him at 5 tech, like the 3-4 defensive end, where he's going to be asked to 2 gap and take up blockers? You want your $25 million stud, deep pressure machine to just take up blockers? Like, there's a lot of moving parts, which is why. Again, not to steer it off, like there's been a lot of Mason Graham talk, circling around the Jets. Like he's one of the guys who's very often bantered about and mocked to the Jets in our spot. Yeah. And then no disrespect to the player. I think he's a fine player, and he's definitely first round.
He's in a 4-3 too, isn't he?
He's a 3 tech. He's a 4-3 defensive tackle, So even if the Jets go 4-3, you're not going to play him next to Quentin Williams in base a lot of times. Could you get away with it for a series or something like that? Yeah, but throughout a whole game, like that's not their game. Their game is to really create pressure and push pockets, and they do it from the same spot. So that's my pushback on the whole Mason Graham stuff.
So a question, what I know we all are the majority want Mike Vrabel as their number one choice, right? So if it's Mike Vrabel, what defense did he run in Tennessee?
He ran a 3-4, but he's not my first choice.
Not my first one either, but I know he's the first for the majority of Jets.
Who's your first choice, Dom?
I want an offensive mind, man.
Same here.
And I don't think Ben Johnson's coming. So, I'm really intrigued with Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for Tampa. Yep. I'm a little bit still I'm really intrigued with Joe Brady. I'm really intrigued with Todd Monken. Those are three guys that I like. I mean, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset with Vrabel. You know, I wouldn't be. I like, you know, I like Flores. I don't think he's going to get the job. I don't think he's going to get a job. I like Flores.
Flores, I like.
I don't care. Here's the thing. I know Aaron Glenn is another name that's bantered about, you know, home roots, this, that. If you're going to go first time head coach, give it to me on the offensive side. Don't give me another first time defensive coordinator.
That I agree with.
Exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. I was like, if we're going to do, for me, it's offensive minded guy first. At this point, I'm looking at it like we've done this whole defensive minded head coach thing for so long. It hasn't really worked for us. You're seeing a lot of success from a lot of offensive minded head coaches throughout the league. I think Buffalo Jetsfan did a poll, or he pulled some data that showed like the last 3 or 4 years, like the offensive minded, like rookie head coach has seen more success than the defensive minded head coaches. So Ben Johnson is my dream. Like that's the dream, right? I agree. I don't think he comes here, but that would be ideal. You couple him with Dorsey, which is another reason why I think it's maybe feasible, because when he did his press conference talking about what the ideal situation looked like, one of the things he stated was that the GM and head coach position lining up is what he's like coveting. So, hey, we're going to need both. How about we bring your boy Dorsey or Agnew here, and then we bring you along? But
well, I'm on the same camp. Like when I talked about Liam Cohen from Tampa Bay, you give me John Spytek as GM and Liam Cohen as head coach. Like I'm more interested in having synergy and a relationship between our GM and head coach.
And a head coach,
100%. Liam Cohen's never been an offensive coordinator for more than one season consecutively. Fuck that guy. If we brought him in, it would be we'd have to endure. And with respect, Dom, I can't even believe that name's coming out of people's mouths. Like to me, it's like, I mean, he's never done anything. Yeah, his offense is okay in Tampa Bay, but it's like,
his offensive, he's coached under maybe the best offensive mind in the league in Sean McVay on 2 separate occasions. He went to Kentucky to be the offense coordinator by advice of Sean McVay, so he can call plays and get that around him. He's come in and he stepped in and he's run a good offense. The guy is well versed. He's well versed in the offensive side of the thing. I know that's foreign to Jet fans, right? I mean, is it Closet, the last new young and upcoming offensive coordinator that we brought in? You know, forget about Gase, who was the head coach. Yeah. Coslet, what was that? 1988, 89?
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not. But the fact that you want offense, going for a guy who's he's the least experienced out of the entire batch. When you talk about guys like Joe Brady or Kingsbury or Ben John, like he's the least experienced. Again, he's never stayed somewhere for 3-4 years and run an offense consistently. Never. He's never done that. Like a head coach. It's like we're going to be sitting there. He's not going to know how to manage the clock. He's not going to be paying attention to the defense. He's going to be focused. It's like we're going to do that whole thing over again. If you're going to do it, if you're going to go rookie, I do agree. It's got to be offense. I prefer somebody who's done the job before. So that's where like defense can come in. Like I want to.
Let me ask you this. Coach. I hear your point on Cohen. You don't like him, and that's fine. But let's say I'm going to say I'll just say Joe Brady because he's another guy I'm interested in. Would you rather have Joe Brady or Matt Nagy? Matt Nagy's done it before, and he was successful at it.
I'd rather have Matt Nagy because I'll tell you exactly why. Matt Nagy, and again, I'm not a Matt Nagy fan. It's funny every time I say this, it comes up often. But people are like, fucking GreenBean sucks. He's fucking Matt Nagy homer. I'm not. But Matt Nagy he's got experience as a head coach. He has a winning record as a head coach. He was a head coach for 4 years with Mitch Trubisky, went to the playoffs twice. If it wasn't for the double doink, he would have gone deeper into the playoffs, right? We know that. He was an offensive coordinator under Andy Reid on 2 separate occasions. So he was a head coach and then went back to Andy Reid. Like, you want to talk about trees. You want to talk about mentorship. And again, the guy was in Chicago. He was there 4 years. 2 of his years, he's got a winning record as a coach. 2 of the years were playoff years. When's the last time we have never? Rex was the last time we had a coach with 2 of his years being playoff years. So like we could do worse. And then Joe Brady was an offensive coordinator for a year and a half in Carolina, and he's an offensive coordinator for a year and a half if he finishes this year, which he will. He's doing a great job. But with Josh Allen, like if Josh Allen goes down, I'd love to see what Joe Brady does, because he didn't look like this with Sam Darnold and what's his name from Ole Miss down in Carolina. You know, he didn't look this way. He got fired. You know, so he got fired before Matt Rule did. Now there's that scapegoat and everything. And I'm not anti Joe Brady, but again, it's like, what have these guys done? Like, you know what I want? Finally, I want us to go and pay and commit to somebody who's won in the league, not somebody that, again, perceived value. Liam Cohen, hey, looks like he could do fuck that. I want somebody who's done it. I want somebody who's won in the league, who is not second best. Like even Bruce Conslett, Dom, he was the loser in the Super Bowl.
But you know what, Bean? All those guys have jobs already, right? They all have jobs already. When all the guys that have won in the league and have head coaching experience and won a league, they already have jobs.
Flores, they're all out there. Yeah. Even Kingsbury, who I don't love, is doing a very good job in Washington.
I'm not a big fan of King.
I'm really not, but he has head coaching experience both at the college level and the NFL level, and he's been an offensive coordinator for the last couple of years, and he's doing a decent job. So that's the kind of guy that you'd go, okay, well, there's that mix. You know what I mean? Rather than Liam Cohen or who was the other guy?
Brady.
Yeah, right. Joe Brady. Like, again, I'm not saying Joe Brady sucks. I'm saying the Jets are very specific, dude. We are a meat grinder. You need, like, we're not the Arizona Cardinals. We're not the fucking Minnesota Vikings. It's not peace and love. And those fan bases, you lose, they go, don't worry, you'll get them next time, coach. Like, that's not who we are. We're throwing shit at you. We're calling your mother. You know, like that's who we are. I mean, you got to bring somebody in here like that time afforded to kind of, you know, get up to snuff where their clock management is terrible and all. Like, dude,
but it's not like that all the time. It's not all. Listen, sometimes you gotta. Yeah, at this point, when we talk about where we're at and where we've been for the past 14 years, right? Sometimes take a shot. You know, the Rams took a shot on McVay when he wasn't even a coordinator, right? They took a shot on McVay, and you know, sometimes you got to take a shot a year early. Look at Kevin O'Connell over there in Minnesota. He's doing wonders over there in Minnesota, right? The kid in for the Bengals, you know what I mean? He got and now even the kid for Tennessee. You know, yes, statistically they're not having good years in their first year. Neither of those guys called plays before, you know, but they're up to par. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice.
And we did that with Herm Edwards. We did that. He hired a position coach to come on in and be our head coach, and he was traded to the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you, and your point is sound. I get it. Like, sometimes getting ahead of it, but here, like, how many times are we going to go for the rookie head coach and think that we're going to allow him to learn on the job? We don't do it here. They get destroyed by the time they're in year 3 or 4. They look like Barack Obama after his first term. They've aged 60 years. Like, oh my God, I'm
dusty. They look dusty.
Dusty. Right. They look like they got beat up for the last 6 months. Like, that's what it looks like. So I don't know. I'm really a fan. And again, I hate that the only experienced guys happen to be from the defensive side of the ball, like Flores and Vrabel, but I would take them any day over the rookie. And I do get it. And I want offense here. I do. But I think experience, somebody who's been a head coach, it's a specific skill set. Like, you can't, every head coach we get, whether it's Robert Saleh, Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, Adam Gase, they pay attention to their side of the ball. I don't want it. I want a head coach. And I know Robert Saleh tried to do that, but as soon as he left, you saw the defense fall off a cliff. You know where his focus was. It's clear. It's as clear as day. Real quick. And our Bivs.
Matt Nagy only has one losing season as a head coach, doesn't he?
I think it's
only
two.
His last year.
I think it's two losing seasons. His first and last, I believe. You can go ahead and check. I believe it's his first and last. But again, it's like, look, is he exciting? Not really. But he did it with Mitch Trubisky too. Like he's a winning head coach. Like you can't discount that. It's like the same thing what we talk with Aaron Rodgers. Like, well, Aaron Rodgers' stats, and I know a lot of it's misleading. Got great catches by Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall catching a dump off and running 60 yards. But every quarterback does that. But even with all of that, Ken O'Brien, Chad Pennington, Vinny Testaverde, on and on and on and on and on, nobody's done 4,000 yards. So there's something to it. Like you can't discount that kind of shit. He has a winning record as a head coach. He's got 2 out of 4 of his seasons were playoff appearances. That's something.
Let me throw 2 names at you, Bean, and this is just really random. I'm not suggesting anything.
For the record, he only had 1 losing season. It was his last season.
One.
He was 12-4, 8-8, 8-8, then won 6 games in his last season before he got fired.
There you go. What is that? I mean, that's something.
What about and random names, guys that maybe on the fence, maybe not, could come back, maybe not, depending on what happens. What about Brian Daboll or Mike McDaniel? They've been head coaches. They're offensive.
Yeah. How funny would
it would be hard. I think Daboll is a great coach.
I think so too.
I really don't think that he's going to be fired from the Giants job. I think they'd be stupid to do it. I think he's a great coach, but you got a guy who's just won 5 games over the past 2 years come in and now, get fired, and now he's become your head coach. The Jets fans would think it's Adam Gase 2.0,
or Rich Kotite, because that's the way that happened.
Exactly.
I would take both of those guys as offensive coordinators, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
OCs, I would take them, but then give me Vrabel. If you're telling me I can get McDaniel or Daboll as our freaking OC, I'm 100% on board on the Vrabel train. Put me on board for that.
McDaniel walking around Giant Stadium or MetLife, whatever it is, like this.
Cold as hell.
It's so cold. Like, dude, that guy's built for California or South Florida, man. But you can't deny, dude, his offenses are serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would consider. I don't think Daboll is getting fired either. I think that it is a planned tank. Danny Dimes sucks. Yes, he had the good year. He got the $40 million. They took the swing. He's not the guy. So can you throw the coach out? I think it's all part of the plan. Tank. Let's go get a young quarterback. From the 2nd overall pick, or potentially even the 1st, if the Raiders pull together another win. So I don't know. I think it would be foolish to fire Daboll. Arbiv checking in. We need a culture changer. Don't trust the first-time coach. That's the thing. And it's not to say that they can't, right? It happens. Dom just gave us a couple of examples where it does, and it happens for other teams. We have to remember, and this is like if and I play, but if I was the GM, the thing that anybody coming in here does not account for is that we are the New York Jets. We are not the Baltimore Ravens. We are not the Philadelphia Eagles. We are not the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, or any other team. We are the Jets, and it is a very specific experience here. And if you don't factor that in, you're done. You're done here. So bringing in like a bright-eyed, woo, I love the city. And like their first couple months here, they're going to the shows and we see them eating fucking, John's at Bleeker's Pizza and all the great feel-good stories and all the shit. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
you better win.
You're in for it, man.
You better
win.
One
mistake. One go for it on 4th when the fans are like, I don't know, and it doesn't work, dude, you're in a hole, and so it's tough. I think that's why I just want experience. Like for like the guys like Vrabel and Flores, I think come in here and instantly add something, which is, hey, shut up. I'm talking. Like that kind of mentality. That's what I want here. And if somebody's too soft to deal with that, goodbye. Goodbye. I want tough people in here. Football players. That's what we're doing here. We're not here to dance around and feel and make everybody feel good and we're all best friends. If you suck, you sit. That's the rule. If you suck, you sit. Xavier Gibson, you've done nothing since the first game of 2023. Sit. Jason Edwards checking back in. I prefer 4-3 with a serious Mike. Yeah. Also, we need another edge because JJ is coming off the injury. Lastly, Quinnen Williams isn't Chris Jenkins. We need another vertical tackle to collapse the pocket. I'll tell you what, and maybe Dahmer Gunny disagrees with me, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if I need another penetrator. What I want is somebody that as soon as the play is snapped, there's an 8-foot radius that nobody's getting through. He's a space. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I want, like, there's just nothing happening here. I'll let the other guys rush the quarterback, but it's going to take 2 of your linemen to stop, to deal with me. And it's just a mess in my area. I want fucking 3 gaps, which is rare, by the way. I want a 3-gapper, Dom. That's what I want. That's why I'm always saying, hey, 260. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Or 340, you know what I mean? 260. But anyway, what do you think? I mean, 4-3 with a mic, with a thumper. Like, I want a guy like even Sherwood, who I love. A lot of the time, like if a guy's coming through the hole, he'll break down, which is not a bad, it's smart to do, but I would prefer a guy who goes, ooh, and meets him in the hole.
You got to remember, Sherwood is still just learned how to play linebacker.
Fair, right. And I love Sherwood. I'm a big Sherwood guy, and I'm high on him. But like what he's talking about is when you get like that guy, like, I mean, and we'll use, the
Vilma, what Vilma was, or Marvin Jones.
David Harris, the first 5 years we had him. That's what he did. Marvin Jones, right? Marvin Jones
was so fucking
Bart
good.
Scott, too. Bart Scott he'd run into that hole. He sacrificed his own brainicles for that damn hit. That's the kind of guy that you want.
That man was reckless.
Oh yeah. And they did that too. Like Marvin Jones, Bart Scott, all those guys, they had the same vigor for taking on the block. If a guard's coming through to the second level, they're like, and they crush him so the next guy can make the tackle. Like, you need those guys. You need that discipline, aggressive play from your linebackers. Like I've said it 1,000 times, linebackers are supposed to be the meanest motherfuckers on the field. There's nobody meaner than the linebackers. That's the way it's always supposed to be. Yeah, the defensive ends. Yeah, it's the linebackers because they get to move and run full speed and take people's heads off. And that's what you want. And if you don't have that, you stand the risk of giving up big plays, giving up plays where the term falling forward, right? Running backs that fall forward. When you have a linebacker that's running, identifies the hole and runs to meet him, it's less likely that the running back's falling forward. So if he gets a yard past the line of scrimmage and is met by a guy running full speed, he's going backwards or he's stopping right there. When you wait for him and break down, again, it's discipline to do that. And I understand that technique. You break down and you make sure that his moves aren't going to, and you're going to make the tackle. That's great and all. But that's when running backs fall forward. They have the momentum. You do not. So I'm a big fan of what Jason's saying. Like when he says serious Mike, I know exactly what you mean, buddy.
Yeah.
I know exactly. And we haven't had, CJ Mosley is another one. We can't undersell. He's a damn good football player, man.
Yeah, he's just
he's old now.
He's just old with apparently a DICK injury in his neck. I don't know how that works, but
yeah. Well, look at this, Gunny. You're a genius.
I appreciate you, Wee Boogie. I'm just trying to find a way to help fix this team. Maybe if we just talk about ideas more and more and more, maybe Woody's going to pay attention to something. He'll watch a couple of podcasts, or his sons will, and then he'll start spitting some ideas his way. We just want to see this team get better, man.
That's all we're doing.
We just want to see them be good. That's
all we're doing, man. We just want to have some fun.
Yeah.
That's all. But with that all said, that is the end of our show, everybody. It is 10:02.
Oh, wow. That was
And
fast.
yeah, so there it is. Dick Butkus is the name. I was going to use Ray Lewis earlier, but I'm mad because he has the tackling record, but they started counting it after Kyle Clifton's career, and Kyle Clifton had more. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of that kind of stuff. Kyle Clifton led the league in tackles on 4 separate occasions, not 1 Pro Bowl. I'm sick of this shit. Sick of it. But all right, that is the end of our show. I want to thank the great Bet US reminding you about their offer of 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000, everybody, for using the promo code YouTube150, everybody. I want to thank Dom and Gunny. Dom, you got anything coming up of note you want to make sure everybody knows about? Dom's rapping now, so I don't know if you guys know that. Maybe you want to rap.
MC Dom.
Follow me on Twitter for my my raps. Listen, honestly, we have in my household here, we have all been sick as a dog the past 10 days. I got the stomach bug going through. I got 3 of the 5. Only me and my son Marcus are the last ones standing. But we had, we've been sick, so I've been a little bit slow on the video stuff on my own channel, Project Prospect with Dom C. A lot more stuff's coming. I've been really, really delving into my draft guide, which I hope to have out hopefully by sometime before the Senior Bowl, so you guys can see and access this stuff. I mean, I just finished putting out my wide receiver stuff today. I think I got 40 reviews and grades on 40 wide receivers. So I was done on that. I think I just have some interior alignment to re-review or rewatch, and that'll be done. And hopefully I'll decide if I want to put it out to the masses. Hopefully you guys use it. Hopefully you guys like it. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. Senior Bowls, less than a month away. No, a little bit more than a month away, about 37 days. A lot of action down there. Hopefully a lot of good interviews and a lot of good insight to this 2025 draft class.
Nice. Dom's the man, everybody, where that stuff goes. Can't wait to see the full draft guide. It's going to be amazing. Gunny, what do you got, friend?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I've been lucky enough, to be friends with Dom. I've got a little sneak peek of the guide, and it's been allowing me to go ahead and pull up some individuals and watch some tape on them. So I appreciate you. I learned about Xavier Watts going through your freaking guide. I had no clue who he was until I got your guide. So it's good stuff. So when it comes out there, I highly recommend you guys take advantage of it. But yeah, for me right now, it's just the Hanger Hangout. So on Tuesday, going to Hanger Hangout, talking New York Jets. The last couple of episodes have pretty much been on how do we fix this? How do we get here? It's just one of those things where it's still shocking that the New York Jets are 4-10. I don't know if I'm going to get over it until we're already into next season. But ultimately, catch me on Tuesday nights at the Hanger Hangout, talking New York Jets football. Yeah, and I'm going to be using Dom's Dom's guide pretty much to kind of
you got access to it, man. It's all yours.
I do.
GreenBean, I think I gave you access too.
Yeah, you did. So again, dude, I mean, look, I'm going to shoot real straight with everybody. I do my own research. I watch my own full game tapes, and I do that shit. But last year, I was eating Dom's shit. Like, that came out so bad. It sounds so bad. I was using Dom's information as like a foundation for what I was looking at more than I admitted. Now, I don't always agree with Dom, as you guys know. I'll read his shit, I'll take a look, and I'll go, Dom's nuts. Carson Steele is better than this guy.
Your guy, by the way, remember I told you about that running back from Arizona State? I mean, I didn't tell you, but
yeah, what's his name again?
Cam Scadaboo. He just got the invite to the Senior Bowl, so that's one that he's a green bean guy through and through.
Cam Scadaboo.
Yep.
I gotta watch this guy.
Yeah, you have to watch that guy, man. He is your type of running. He is your type of running back. It's a good class for running backs. It's a good class for bruisers, man. If you like him, you'll really like Nicholas Singleton. You'll really like Cam Scadaboo. You'll really like Caleb Johnson. That's another guy you got to watch if you want to watch like a real downhill runner. like brute type of guy, man. So
Yeah.
I digress.
All right. Well, cool, man. I'll dig into these guys. But yeah, good stuff, everybody. I want to thank you guys for hanging out again. Thank you to BetUS. Thank you to eBoogie and Jason Edwards and the whole crew. I love you guys. We'll see you for the game on Sunday, I think. Yeah, let's do that. With that all said, have a great night. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah!
You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over there and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.